In life, we are constantly surrounded by people, friends, family, colleagues, and even strangers who influence our decisions, emotions, and character. But how many of these people truly deserve our trust? How often do we allow ourselves to be misled, betrayed, or disrespected simply because we fail to recognize the warning signs? Today, we will explore the timeless wisdom of Stoicism, a philosophy that has guided people through challenges for centuries, helping them navigate the complexities of human relationships. In this video, we'll uncover 9 types of individuals you should be cautious of, those who, according to Stoic principles, may not deserve your trust or respect. What will you gain from watching this video? You'll learn how to apply the teachings of Stoicism to your relationships, improving your ability to discern between those who lift you up and those who bring you down. By the end of this journey, you'll have the tools to build stronger, more virtuous connections and avoid the pitfalls of toxic relationships. Stay with us, and let's embark on this journey to become wiser, more resilient, and at peace with the choices we make about the people we let into our lives. 1. The Gossip Monger. Have you ever been in a situation where the trust between friends was destroyed by a few careless whispers? Gossip seems harmless at first, a simple exchange of stories. But over time, it reveals its true nature, a destructive force that undermines relationships and breeds mistrust. What kind of person thrives on such behavior? The gossip monger uses stories not to inform or entertain, but to manipulate and divide. In the eyes of Stoicism, gossip is a behavior that goes against the core virtues of honesty and integrity. Why? Because those who gossip are not concerned with the truth, but with the influence they wield over others. Imagine someone who has shared a secret with you. How do you feel knowing that they could, at any moment, betray your trust? Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, reminds us to focus on our character, not our reputation. Our character is who we are, while our reputation is simply what others think of us. A gossip monger fails in both aspects. By spreading half-truths and lies, they damage their own character and tarnish the reputations of others. Can we trust someone who finds satisfaction in the destruction of trust? How do we confront this behavior? According to Stoicism, the answer lies in how we respond, not in condemnation, but in wisdom. We must be mindful of our own words and actions, ensuring that we communicate with sincerity and respect. We should ask ourselves, am I contributing to a culture of gossip, or am I striving to build relationships based on trust and mutual respect? When we choose the latter, we align ourselves with the Stoic ideal of living in harmony with our true nature, where virtue is our guiding light. So, the next time you encounter gossip, pause and reflect. Is this conversation necessary? Is it kind? Will it bring about a better understanding, or will it tear someone down? In doing so, you not only protect your character, but also strengthen the bonds of trust in your relationships. Gossip can tear apart the fabric of human connection, but with Stoicism, we have the tools to weave it back together with integrity. Now that we've addressed the dangers of gossip, let's move on to another type of person who challenges our trust, the selfish individual. 2. The selfish person, narcissist. We've all encountered someone who seems entirely focused on their own needs and desires, often to the detriment of others. The narcissist, the selfish individual, is someone who places their pride, ambition, and validation above all else. But what happens when we allow ourselves to be in the orbit of such people? Can trust and respect survive in a relationship where one person is only concerned with themselves? According to Stoicism, selfishness is a fundamental flaw in character because it goes against the Stoic virtues of humility, empathy, and service to the common good. A narcissist is not interested in mutual respect or shared success. They thrive on admiration and often disregard the feelings and efforts of others. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, taught that true self-worth is not found in external praise, but in living a life of virtue. The narcissist, however, is trapped in a constant pursuit of external validation, which leads them to neglect the very qualities that make a person truly worthy of respect. Think of a time when you've been around someone who constantly made everything about them. How did that make you feel? Did you feel valued? Or did you feel invisible? Narcissistic individuals create an imbalance in relationships. They take and take but rarely give. They want the spotlight, the praise, the glory, yet they are unwilling to support or celebrate the success of others. But Stoicism provides a remedy. Epictetus reminds us that it is not others who control our happiness, but our own judgments and actions. We cannot change a narcissist's behavior, but we can control how we react to it. We can choose not to invest our trust and respect in those who lack empathy and humility. Instead, we should focus on building relationships with people who are capable of reciprocal kindness, who value cooperation and shared success. In practical terms, what should you do when faced with a narcissistic individual? First, recognize the signs. If someone consistently dismisses your feelings or achievements, it's time to reevaluate the relationship. Next, set boundaries. Protect your own well-being by limiting the influence this person has on your life. Finally, cultivate friendships with those who embody the Stoic virtues of humility, kindness, and empathy. In doing so, you create a support system based on mutual respect and shared values. By avoiding selfish individuals, we align ourselves with the Stoic pursuit of inner peace and personal growth. True happiness comes not from the validation of others, but from living in accordance with our virtues. As Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." So, if you encounter a narcissist, the best response is not to engage in their self-centered games, but to live your life with integrity and virtue. As we move forward, let's consider another type of person who can damage our trust and respect: the envious individual. 3. The envious. Have you ever achieved something great, only to have someone react not with joy, but with envy? The envious individual is one who, instead of celebrating the successes of others, harbors resentment and bitterness. But why is envy such a corrosive force in relationships? And what does Stoicism teach us about dealing with it? Envy is more than just jealousy. It is the inability to be happy for others' achievements. Stoicism views envy as a destructive emotion that not only harms relationships, but also undermines our own character. When we are envious, we are focusing not on our own growth or virtues, but on what others have. This leads us to feel dissatisfied and bitter rather than fulfilled and at peace with ourselves. Consider a scenario. A co-worker gets promoted, and instead of congratulating them, you feel a pang of resentment. You might think, why them and not me? This kind of thinking traps you in a cycle of negativity. But from a Stoic perspective, such thoughts are harmful. The Stoic philosopher Seneca wrote extensively about the dangers of envy, pointing out that it erodes both the person who feels it and the relationships around them. He taught that we should focus on our own progress and virtues rather than comparing ourselves to others. So, how can we break free from envy? Stoicism offers a clear path: gratitude and self-reflection. Instead of focusing on what others have that you lack, take time to appreciate what you do have. Reflect on your own growth and accomplishments. Ask yourself, am I improving each day? This shift in focus allows you to concentrate on what truly matters, your own personal development. After all, Stoicism teaches that the only thing within our control is our own mind, our own actions, and our own progress. What should you do when you encounter someone who is envious of you? First, recognize that their envy is not a reflection of your worth, but a symptom of their own dissatisfaction. Second, be compassionate. Understand that they are struggling with their own insecurities. However, this does not mean you need to tolerate harmful behavior. Set boundaries if necessary, and continue to focus on your own journey of growth and virtue. Envy destroys trust because it shifts the focus away from mutual respect and toward competition. But when we practice gratitude and empathy, we rise above this destructive emotion, strengthening our character and our relationships. Before we move on, take a moment to reflect on this. Are there people in your life who consistently react to your success with envy? How have you responded? Share your experience in the comments below, and let's learn from each other. Now, let's move on to another behavior that can erode trust: the perpetual critic. 4. The perpetual critic. We've all encountered the perpetual critic, the person who always has something negative to say, no matter the situation. At first, their criticism might seem harmless, even helpful, but over time, it becomes clear that they aren't offering constructive feedback. Instead, they seem to take pleasure in pointing out faults without ever offering solutions. What drives this behavior, and how does Stoicism suggest we respond? Constructive criticism is essential for personal growth. We all need guidance to improve. However, there is a significant difference between helpful advice and constant negativity. The perpetual critic is someone who finds flaws in everything, yet contributes nothing to improvement. This type of person thrives on tearing others down, often out of their own insecurity or need for control. They lack the Stoic virtues of wisdom, kindness, and humility, and their endless critiques create an atmosphere of distrust and resentment. Epictetus, a leading Stoic thinker, reminds us that it is not the actions or words of others that harm us, but our own judgments about them. When faced with relentless criticism, we can choose how to respond. Instead of internalizing their negativity, we can focus on our own growth, measuring ourselves against our virtues rather than others' harsh words. Ask yourself, am I living according to my values? Am I improving? If the answer is yes, then the opinions of perpetual critics become irrelevant. In dealing with critics, Stoicism encourages us to seek inner resilience. We should listen to feedback with discernment, accepting what is useful and discarding what is not. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, often reflected on the importance of focusing on our own actions rather than being overly concerned with the opinions of others. The Stoic approach is to remain calm and grounded, using criticism as an opportunity for self-reflection, but not allowing it to dictate our sense of self-worth. When faced with a perpetual critic, how should you respond? First, assess whether their criticism is constructive or simply negative. If it is constructive, thank them and use it to grow. If it is destructive, maintain your composure and remember that their words are not a reflection of your worth. In some cases, it may be necessary to distance yourself from such individuals to protect your peace of mind. Criticism, when offered constructively, helps us grow. But when it is constant and destructive, it weakens the bonds of trust. As we move forward, we'll now turn to another type of person who often undermines trust and respect: the manipulative individual. 5. The manipulative individual. We all value relationships built on trust, mutual respect, and honesty. But what happens when someone uses charm, lies, or emotional manipulation to bend situations in their favor? The manipulative individual is someone who seeks to control others for personal gain, often at the expense of the truth and other people's well-being. In Stoicism, such behavior is deeply at odds with the virtues of integrity and justice. Manipulation is a subtle and dangerous force. A manipulative person often disguises their true intentions, using persuasion or deceit to achieve their goals. They might tell you what you want to hear, play the victim, or twist facts to suit their narrative. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus warned against becoming ensnared by such individuals, advising us to remain vigilant and to cultivate discernment, a key Stoic virtue that allows us to see beyond the surface of things. In life, we are often faced with situations where it's difficult to discern the motivations of others. How can we tell when someone is manipulating us? Look at their actions over time, not just their words. Are they consistent in their behavior? Do their actions align with the values of trust, fairness, and integrity? A manipulative person will often show a pattern of self-serving behavior, regardless of how charming or persuasive they may seem at first. In the practice of Stoicism, we are taught to align our actions with virtue, not with personal gain at the expense of others. This means we must be careful not only in how we interact with others, but also in who we allow into our lives. Stoicism places a strong emphasis on cultivating relationships that are built on mutual respect and honesty, and manipulation has no place in such relationships. Imagine a scenario where someone repeatedly distorts the truth to influence your decisions. You may begin to doubt yourself, your values, or even your understanding of reality. The manipulative individual seeks to weaken your sense of agency and control. But Stoicism teaches us that we are in control of our own responses, regardless of external influences. Marcus Aurelius frequently reflected on the importance of maintaining one's moral compass in the face of deceit and manipulation. What can we do to protect ourselves from manipulative individuals? The first step is to strengthen our own self-awareness. By practicing self-reflection, a core aspect of Stoicism, we can recognize when we are being manipulated and choose not to engage with it. We must set firm boundaries with those who attempt to deceive or exploit us and distance ourselves when necessary. It is also important to surround ourselves with people who share our values of honesty, integrity, and respect. Manipulation erodes trust and respect in relationships, but with the wisdom of Stoicism, we can recognize manipulative behavior and protect our peace of mind. As we move forward, consider how manipulation might have affected your own life. Have you encountered someone whose charm disguised their true intentions? How did you handle it? Share your experiences in the comments below, and let's learn together. Next, we'll discuss another behavior that damages relationships: the constant use of flattery. 6. The flatterer. Flattery is often mistaken for kindness, but it's a deceptive form of manipulation that undermines trust and respect. The flatterer seeks to win favor by offering excessive, often insincere praise. They may seem like your biggest supporter, but their motives are far from genuine. In Stoicism, flattery is seen as a form of deception that violates the principles of honesty and integrity. Why is flattery so dangerous? At first, it may feel good to receive compliments, especially when they validate our ego. But over time, we begin to see through the insincerity of these words. A flatterer does not offer praise to encourage or uplift you. They do so to curry favor, gain influence, or manipulate your decisions. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, warned against the dangers of flattery, stating that it takes advantage of our weaknesses. The flatterer preys on our desire for approval, offering false praise that leads us away from the pursuit of virtue. Think about the last time someone flattered you excessively. How did it make you feel? Did their words ring true, or did you sense that they were trying to manipulate you? According to Stoicism, we should be cautious when receiving praise. True compliments come from those who have no hidden agenda and who offer encouragement grounded in sincerity and truth. Flattery, on the other hand, is designed to manipulate our emotions, steering us away from our moral principles. Stoicism encourages us to cultivate authenticity in our relationships. This means that we should not only reject flattery, but also avoid becoming flatterers ourselves. Genuine relationships are built on mutual respect and honesty, not on superficial compliments meant to manipulate. When we align our words and actions with the Stoic virtue of integrity, we foster trust and respect in our relationships. How should we respond when faced with a flatterer? First, recognize the difference between genuine praise and manipulation. Ask yourself, are these compliments coming from a place of sincerity, or is there an ulterior motive? If you sense manipulation, it's important to set boundaries and distance yourself from those who seek to control you through insincere flattery. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the opinions of others should not sway our sense of self-worth. We must stay true to our values and not be easily seduced by empty praise. Flattery may seem harmless at first, but it can quickly erode trust and undermine the authenticity of our relationships. By practicing Stoicism, we can navigate flattery with wisdom and discernment, building stronger, more genuine connections with those around us. Next, we'll explore the behavior of another type of individual who is difficult to trust, the person who constantly plays the victim. 7. The Perpetual Victim. In the grand narrative of life, there are people who consistently cast themselves as the victim, not to seek help, but to avoid responsibility. These individuals often manipulate others' empathy to gain attention or sympathy, yet they show little interest in solving their problems. According to Stoicism, this behavior goes against the Stoic ideals of self-responsibility and personal growth. Stoic philosophy teaches that while we may not be able to control external events, we are always in control of how we respond to them. The perpetual victim, however, chooses to focus on what happens to them rather than on how they can overcome challenges. Instead of taking responsibility for their own actions, they blame others or circumstances. This leads to a life filled with excuses, resentment, and stagnation rather than growth and empowerment. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This profound teaching reminds us that personal responsibility is at the core of Stoicism. The perpetual victim, however, avoids this truth. They seek to gain sympathy and manipulate others' emotions without taking the necessary steps to change their situation. In doing so, they erode the trust and respect of those around them. Have you ever encountered someone who constantly plays the victim? How did it affect your relationship with them? When we are faced with such individuals, it's important to set boundaries. Stoicism teaches us to practice compassion without enabling destructive behavior. While it's natural to want to help those who are struggling, we must be careful not to let their victimhood become a manipulative tool that drains our energy and undermines our own growth. When dealing with a perpetual victim, we can offer support, but only when it encourages them to take responsibility and seek solutions. As Stoics, we should encourage self-reliance and resilience, guiding others toward personal growth rather than allowing them to remain trapped in a cycle of blame and self-pity. This aligns with the Stoic principle of justice, which teaches us to help others in a way that promotes their own strength and independence. The next time you encounter someone who habitually plays the victim, consider this. Are you helping them grow, or are you enabling their avoidance of responsibility? Reflect on how Stoicism encourages us to focus on our own reactions and to support others in a way that leads to positive change. Before we move on, I encourage you to reflect and share. Have you encountered a perpetual victim in your life? How did you handle the situation? Let us know in the comments below, and let's support each other in finding the best ways to deal with these challenging relationships. Now, let's turn to another important behavior that undermines trust: The person who lacks empathy. 8. The person who lacks empathy. Empathy is the foundation of human connection. It allows us to understand and share the feelings of others, building trust, compassion, and a sense of community. But what happens when someone lacks empathy? How do we deal with individuals who cannot or choose not to connect emotionally with those around them? In Stoicism, the absence of empathy is a significant barrier to living in harmony with others, as it prevents genuine understanding and mutual respect. Stoicism teaches us that we are all part of a greater whole, that our actions affect not only ourselves, but also the collective good. Marcus Aurelius often wrote about the interconnectedness of humanity, reminding us that what injures the hive injures the bee. This profound insight underscores the importance of empathy in maintaining the fabric of society. A person who lacks empathy is blind to this truth. They are disconnected from the emotional experiences of others and often act in ways that harm relationships and erode trust. Consider how it feels when you're in a relationship, be it personal or professional, with someone who lacks empathy. When you share your struggles or joys, they seem indifferent or dismissive. Over time, this emotional distance creates a barrier that is difficult to overcome. Without empathy, there is no true understanding, and without understanding, trust cannot thrive. In Stoic philosophy, empathy is closely linked to the virtues of wisdom and justice. Wisdom allows us to see beyond our own perspective and understand the experiences of others, while justice demands that we treat others with fairness and compassion. A person who lacks empathy violates these virtues, making it difficult to build a relationship based on trust and mutual respect. What should we do when faced with someone who lacks empathy? The first step is to recognize that their emotional detachment is not a reflection of our worth, but rather a limitation in their ability to connect. Stoicism teaches us that while we cannot change others, we can choose how we respond to them. We should not allow their lack of empathy to diminish our own capacity for compassion and understanding. Instead, we must set boundaries to protect our emotional well-being while continuing to practice empathy ourselves. It is also essential to be mindful of how we interact with these individuals. Stoicism encourages us to respond with patience and kindness, but also with firmness. We can offer understanding without enabling harmful behavior, and we can remain compassionate without allowing their emotional distance to dictate the terms of the relationship. A key principle of Stoicism is the idea of focusing on what is within our control. We cannot control how empathetic others are, but we can control how we engage with them. By maintaining our own integrity and practicing empathy, even when it is not reciprocated, we continue to align ourselves with the Stoic virtues that lead to a peaceful and fulfilling life. The absence of empathy erodes trust because it creates a one-sided dynamic where the emotional needs of one person are ignored. But with the wisdom of Stoicism, we can navigate these difficult relationships, remaining grounded in our values while protecting our emotional well-being. Now that we've explored the challenges posed by those who lack empathy, let's move on to another type of individual who can undermine trust, the judgmental person. 9. The judgmental person. Judgment is a natural part of human behavior, but there is a significant difference between constructive discernment and harmful judgment. The judgmental person is quick to form negative opinions about others, often without fully understanding their circumstances. This type of individual makes assumptions, spreads criticism, and creates division, making it difficult to build relationships based on trust and respect. In Stoicism, quick judgment is seen as a failure to exercise wisdom and understanding, virtues that are essential to living a virtuous life. One of the core teachings of Stoicism is the importance of reserving judgment until we have a full understanding of a situation. Epictetus advised us to listen twice as much as we speak, emphasizing the value of patience and reflection before forming opinions about others. The judgmental person, however, rushes to conclusions, often without considering the complexity of human experiences. They view the world through a narrow lens, making snap assessments that lead to misunderstandings and conflict. Consider a situation where you've been unfairly judged. Perhaps someone made assumptions about your character based on limited information, and their judgment led to gossip or damaged your reputation. How did it feel to be misjudged? How did it affect your relationship with that person? According to Stoic philosophy, judgment without understanding not only harms the person being judged, but also diminishes the character of the one making the judgment. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, often reflected on the importance of empathy and understanding. He reminded us that every person has their own struggles and that we should be slow to judge and quick to show compassion. The Stoic approach to judgment is one of curiosity and patience. Instead of rushing to conclusions, we are encouraged to ask questions, seek understanding, and refrain from harsh criticism. When faced with a judgmental person, what should we do? First, recognize that their judgment is a reflection of their own limitations, not of your character. Stoicism teaches us to remain calm and grounded, focusing on our own actions and virtues rather than being swayed by the opinions of others. Second, practice empathy. Understand that judgment often stems from insecurity or a lack of understanding, and respond with patience rather than defensiveness. Finally, set boundaries. If someone's judgmental behavior is causing harm, it may be necessary to distance yourself from them in order to protect your peace of mind. Judgmental behavior destroys trust because it creates an environment of criticism and negativity. But when we practice the Stoic virtues of wisdom, empathy, and understanding, we can rise above the noise of judgment and build stronger, more respectful relationships. Now that we've explored the 9 types of people who may not deserve your trust or respect, let's bring it all together in our conclusion. Throughout this video, we've examined 9 types of individuals who can erode trust and respect: the Gossip Monger, the Selfish Person, the Envious, the Perpetual Critic, the Manipulative Individual, the Flatterer, the Perpetual Victim, the person who lacks empathy, and the Judgmental Person. Each of these behaviors goes against the core principles of Stoicism, which emphasize virtues such as wisdom, empathy, integrity, and justice. As we move forward in our own lives, it is essential to apply the teachings of Stoicism to our relationships. By practicing discernment, we can identify those who may undermine our peace and virtue, and by cultivating relationships based on mutual respect and shared values, we can create a life filled with trust, growth, and fulfillment. Before you leave, I encourage you to take a moment to reflect on the relationships in your life. Are there individuals who consistently demonstrate the behaviors we've discussed? How might applying Stoic principles help you navigate these challenging dynamics? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's continue the conversation. If you found this video insightful, be sure to like, subscribe, and share it with others who may benefit from these timeless lessons. Thank you for watching, and remember, the journey toward wisdom and peace is a lifelong one. Wishing you strength and clarity as you apply these Stoic principles in your life.